All right, everyone. Welcome to the April edition of the 43rd DEMS general meeting. We've got a full packed agenda tonight. We've got 14 or so candidates who are going to be here to introduce themselves. We've got a presentation on, I gave you all the wrong agenda. We've got a presentation on media consolidation. We've got a resolution on Iran, and some other things. Here we go. Here is the agenda. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order. Emily is still coming from work, so I am going to be doing the start of the meeting. First up, meeting norms. Let me share my screen. All right. Meeting norms, again, just reminders, treat each other with dignity and respect. If you don't know, ask, step up and step back. Everyone's a volunteer here, so to keep that in mind. And together we share responsibility for staying on time, particularly in meetings like tonight where we've got a lot on the agenda. General meeting operations. If you need to seek the floor, please raise your hand by selecting reactions in the meeting window and then raise hand. And I or one of the co-hosts will notice that and will call on you in order. If we need to do a quick poll, we may ask you to use the yes or no reactions, which you can find in the reactions portion of the participant panel. We are trying out something new this month. We are leaving chat enabled during portions of the meeting, and we're disabling it during other portions. If we are having vote discussion things, we're going to disable chat because we want to make sure that chats there are used, that the chat does not get clogged up with back and forth with people, so that we can post things like the link to the voting page and other important information in there without getting drowned out with back and forth chat. But chat will be enabled for other parts of the meeting. And I'll show you that in a second when we take a look at the agenda. And we are live streaming on YouTube as well. Robert's Rules, a very short introduction to Robert's Rules. The parliamentary procedures that help us run the meeting flow smoothly. You don't need to know all the details to participate. If you want to contribute, raise your hand and we'll help you form a motion. The rules are complex, but most motions are simple. I move, we append, approve, postpone, etc. We've got a tip sheet that is linked from the agenda here that you can use, and you want to make a motion. If you are a member of the 43rd, you have full right to participate. If you need us to slow down or explain something, please just raise your hand and ask. We're happy to help everyone understand what's happening in the meeting and control the flow of the meeting so that we all understand and can participate fully. And as a final reminder, if you are a Robert's Rules rock star, don't use your powers for evil, use them only for good. Making very complicated motions and using Robert's Rules to delay the meeting only makes things worse for everybody. So let's use this all to have a really good meeting. With that, I'll do the land acknowledgement. Although we are joining virtually tonight, we'd like to start this event acknowledging that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. If you'd like to learn more about those whose land you occupy and have occupied, you can see the map at native-land.ca. And as a reminder, the 43rd backs up our land acknowledgement with a donation each month to Real Rent Real Rent Duwamish. Agenda. So we have the agenda. Before I ask for approval of the agenda, I will just note, you can see here places where we've marked chat open. And then we get down to here where we have this resolution. We're going to close the chat there because that's a vote. We want to be able to moderate the chat that's happening so that we can have good flow of the vote. All right. With that, give me a second here. I need to pop out my chat so I can see it. I need to pop out participants so I can see the list of participants. Do we have anybody who would like to make a motion to approve the agenda? And again, I will put the agenda link into chat. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve the agenda, please raise your hand. Liam. All right, and we got a second from Jacob, it looks like. All right. Thank you. Next up, the minutes from March. Here is the minutes from March. Put that in the chat. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve or amend the minutes from March?
Paul, I'm
Sorry,
sorry
yeah.
to interrupt. This is
Go for it.
Sophia.
Yeah.
Should we be letting people sign in through the credentials also right now for voting?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Rob,
I'm not sure it's
um,
critical for this meeting, but yeah, it's good practice. Thank you.
yeah. Well, also we do have a
Yeah.
we do have a agenda item that we need to
Yeah.
vote on later.
Thank you, Sophia.
Rob, do you have that link handy?
And Rye, are you motioning to move the minutes? And
you accidentally sent this month's agenda again.
I did? Oh, jeez. Did I not copy it? March 21st.
I had the right link in the agenda itself, but yeah, it looks great. I
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Minutes. There we go. Hopefully, is that the right one? Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, for catching that. All right. All right. Okay, so bit of a chair report. Reminder, there is a special election happening right now for the crisis care levy. The 43rd last month did endorse this levy. This levy is important to help fully fund our crisis care centers so that people who are in mental health crisis and have need for resources are able to get them. So you should have a ballot in your mailbox already. Please take just literally 2 minutes to do the vote, another minute or two to drop it in the mailbox so that we get a good turnout from the 43rd for this this important levy, which will really help those in our community and us ensure that we've got the crisis care that we need. And then few other announcements that we've got. June is going to be our endorsements meeting. Please talk with your friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, people you meet randomly on the street in the 43rd. Ask them to join the 43rd so that they can vote for our endorsements meeting. This is an important part of the 43rd to get out the vote effort and the way we help educate our neighbors and others in the 43rd about the candidates that are running. So June is that endorsements meeting. Please encourage people to sign up. And then let's see, last month we talked about ballots and bubbly. In retrospect, we have decided to not do ballots and bubbly this year. We're instead focusing on some things you'll hear about in a little bit. 43rd forums, we've got some candidate forums coming up scheduled, and a pride brunch in June. So we'll talk about those next in the agenda. And then also a reminder, volunteer opportunities. Let me throw this in here. If you want to get more involved with the 43rd, please sign up here and we will get with you to help you get more involved in the 43rd. With that, 2 minutes behind schedule. 43rd events. We got some important events coming up. Candidate forums for D4, Seattle D4 and King County D4 and Seattle D3. Dawn, would you like to speak to these as you are doing lots of work to get these organized?
Thank you, Paul. Hello, 43rd. So our first event, our first forum will be the District 4 Forum. And we've been working very hard, and Jacob has been working very hard to ensure that all of the candidates' schedules and the Young Democrats of University of Washington schedules are aligned. And we are going to be having the District 4 Candidate Forum at the University of Washington Savory Hall, room 206. Seating capacity is 185, and we're doing our very best to make sure and ensure that it is accessible on all fronts. Masking is optional. It's going to be May 23rd from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we're going to have as moderator Crystal Fincher from Winks and Honks. I have that correct, do I not? I hope I'm not
Hacks and Wonks.
Hacks and Wonks. I apologize, Crystal and candidates in the 43rd. And we're going to have 4 D4 candidates and 4 King County candidates. And we have invited the 46th to collaborate with us on that forum and hope to hear back from them soon. For the D3 forum, we are going to be having that at KEXP. And I'm going to speak at the 37th LD meeting on the 24th of this month in hopes that they would like to also collaborate with us on this forum. We're going to have all 10 candidates there, and I recognize quite a few faces here in this meeting on that one, and that's going to be June 13th. Again, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. We are wanting to make this as accessible to all audiences as much as possible. We are looking forward to hearing your voices. We are trying to make, we are going to market this hard. I have already reached out to all of the media to advertise and invite all of the media to include The Stranger, The Urbanist, Seattle Times, Seattle Met, KUOW, so many International Examiner, South Seattle Emerald, so that they can hear your voices and educate the public on the matters further to help guide them as they vote. Are there any questions or concerns that you have for these forums presently? I'd love to hear.
No, just thank you for your work, Dawn. Yay.
Thank you.
So yeah, very excited about these 2 forums for both D4s and D3. Crystal and Erica are both experienced moderators, so it'll be great to have them do this host. Again, tell your friends, families, neighbors, coworkers, get the word out, attend in person or watch the live stream to get educated about these super critical races where we've got a lot of candidates in several of the races. And then Pride Brunch. We are planning a Pride Brunch on June 25th to coincide with Pride Weekend. And Dawn, do you want to speak to that as well?
Nosheen is here, and I'm excited to hear
Oh.
what Nosheen would like to contribute to that. But as the events and meeting chair, I am certainly here to support this event and the venue and the Pride Brunch with Nosheen as much as possible, as much as Nosheen needs me and the 43rd needs me.
Yes, super excited about the Pride Brunch, and going back to sort of what Paul mentioned about volunteers. You know, if you're sort of interested in supporting the planning of this event any way, please fill out the volunteer form, and we'll be in touch with you to sort of get together and start planning ahead. So thank you so much, everyone.
Right, thanks, Nosheen. And then to follow up on that again, volunteers, you're interested in helping on the Pride Brunch, interested in helping out managing the forums, or just want to get more involved with the 43rd, put the link in chat again where you can fill out that form and get more involved with the 43rd. Okay, next up, PCO appointments. We need more PCOs. Just a little summary of PCOs. PCOs are precinct committee officers. They're sort of the backbone of the local Democratic Party. They are a statutory officer recognized by the state. You need to run for them. There's elections for them. The election for PCOs happened in August. There's a lot of empty precincts in which nobody ran. So what we get to do is, if there is an empty precinct, we can fill that precinct with someone who would like to be appointed and volunteer for that. And that allows you to better help get out the vote and get more involved with the 43rd and have additional rights within the 43rd org. So there's a lot of people, a lot of vacant precincts. Kind of simple to check this out. You go to the King County Find My District. Let me find my district site. You type in your address. You see what your precinct is. And then you go to our handy list of vacant precincts and see if there's anybody in your precinct. If there is not, if there's not anyone in your precinct, then we would love for you to be a PCO for your precinct. Steps for that are complete form for King County Democrats and send a mail to me. And between me and Cody, we will work with you to get you on board with being a PCO. We need a lot of them. As you can see, all the ones here are saying vacant. These are all empty precincts that we need a PCO for. One of the things, yeah, I won't say that. All right. We do have 2 empty precincts for which we've got volunteers who would like to be PCOs. Rob Dolan and Vivian Song Moritz. How about I give each of you a minute or so to introduce yourselves, and then the procedure here is we ask membership to approve them, and then based upon your membership recommendation, I approve or reject a PCO, and then we send that on to King County to get them officially approved as a appointed PCO. So Vivian, since I'm seeing you on screen first, how about if you take just a minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll go on to Rob next.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Vivian Song Moritz. I am seeking appointment to be a precinct officer for the precinct that is number 2033. That's near Volunteer Park in Capitol Hill. I am a lifelong Democrat, and I'm really proud to be raising my 4 kids in Seattle. The 43rd is where we live and also where my kids go to school. You may also know me as a school board director for Seattle Public Schools. And it is really from that experience that I learned how important the PCO work is to helping people get elected. And I made a commitment during that campaign that I would pay it forward and serve as a volunteer PCO and help people get elected, get important initiatives to our community passed. And so I would be really honored to have your support and be thrilled to serve our party as a PCO. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. And Rob, are you here tonight? All right. I don't see Rob here. Rob is tech chair on the 43rd board. He's been a long time participant and member of the 43rd. And so we would be happy to have him as well as a PCO. I would like to do this vote to confirm both Rob and Vivian as PCOs via acclamation, rather than us having to take a formal vote. So is there anyone with a concern for voting by acclamation to approve Vivian and Rob as PCOs? If there is anybody, please raise your hand. So anyone with any concerns? All right, seeing no concerns, congratulations, Vivian and Rob. I will get with Carrie, chair of the King County Democrats, and we'll get the paperwork done for you to become appointed PCOs. Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we have a bunch of candidates. Welcome all candidates. Thank you for coming. We're excited to have you here. Excited to hear from you and learn about you and your campaigns. I will post the list of all the candidates here in chat. And there's links to, that came up big, links to all of their websites. I'm going to stop screen sharing now so that we can spotlight the candidates as we go through. We'll call each of you candidates in turn. You got 2 minutes. There'll be a 2-minute timer up here behind me.
No, I got Blue Sky Timer to work.
Oh, you've got Blue Sky Timer to work. Okay.
Yeah, so I am going to spotlight that right here.
Perfect. Let me remove my spotlight. All right, so we'll call on each of the candidates in turn, 2 minutes. Sophia will manage the timer. Thank you very much, Sophia. Okay, Todd Curtis. First up, we've got Port of Seattle candidates. Todd.
Evening.
Sophia, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Todd, are you seeing is anyone seeing the timer?
I do not see the timer yet. I see elapsed time, but not the 2-minute timer.
Here, spotlight. There we go.
Ah, perfect.
Okay, side by side, the blue sky timer is still blank.
Is it blank?
It is blank. It is black screen right now.
Okay, so the rest of us see you, Todd, and a white timer on the side, and it started. Go ahead.
Okay.
Very good. Good evening. I'm Todd Curtis. I'm a candidate for Port of Seattle Commission, position number 5. And I'd like to be your next commissioner because I bring, among other things, a unique perspective a full career in transportation, primarily in aviation, but not strictly, where not only I worked with the technology of transportation, but also with policy issues, including the policies that frankly dealt with diversity, equity, inclusion within the professional ranks of aviation, the same kind of issues that permeate society in general, which in some respects we actually address. But more to the point, Port of Seattle is about a broad range of issues, including economic development in the region, including how people within the port, the people who work with the port and the partners of the port are treated, how the communities are treated, and the responsibility that the port has both to the people of King County, the people of the region, and the peoples whose livelihoods depend on what happens in the port and how well the port executes its mission to make transportation easier, doing things as basic as doing what they can to reduce the stress and the hassle of flying to the airport, the responsibility of seeing that the efforts that the port does to develop the community also addresses those parts of the community that have been historically not necessarily barred, but didn't have the opportunity to take full advantage of the kinds of careers, the kinds of opportunities the port would offer. But more than anything, what I want to bring to the port is a perspective that I think would serve the port well, all areas of the port, as we go into the future, not only with the transportation issues that exist now, but with the challenges, including the environment, that have to be addressed with a combination of knowledge of the technology, knowledge of the people, and knowledge of the limits of what we can do from a policy perspective. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Todd. And I'll put your website information in there. Thank you, Todd. We hope to see you back in June for our endorsement meeting. If you want more information about Todd, you can see Curtis for Port and reach out to Todd. And reach out to Todd with your questions. All right, thanks. Next up, Fred Fellman. Fred. Is Fred here?
I am admitting someone named Fred on the iPhone, so that is probably him.
Got it. Let's unmute iPhone Fred.
Am I making a mess of this thing?
No, you're okay. Is this Fred Fellman?
It is. I'm sorry. I'm in DC and I just realized I missed your effort here.
Oh, no worries. Okay, it is your turn to speak. You've got 2 minutes. You won't be able to see the timer, but we'll let you know if you start going over 2 minutes.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm pretty ill prepared to just give you a prescriptive speech, but I'm here to tell you that I'm in DC right now trying to carry the water for the port to take advantage of this opportunity to really unprecedented opportunity to decarbonize port operations, both at the seaport and the airport, with these funds from the both local, state, and federal funding that will enable the port to basically, we can have climate, communities, and commerce coexist, because people now get it that ports are important. We are a fundamentally important subject to our economy, and we are a large emitter of carbon, and we can do much better, but at the same time making sure that our economic benefits are widely benefited to the broader community and our impacts are reduced. So those communities closest to the airport should be have the first opportunity to benefit from the economic opportunities for the airport, while at the same time we have an obligation to take the tax base that we draw from the entire region for the benefit of having this regional asset that disproportionately impacts those communities most closely to the facility. So we have an obligation to provide services to the broader region, at the same time acknowledging our impacts and creating the opportunities for the broadest economic growth for the region. That's why I'm in this race. That's why I'm in the ultimate public service business. And that's why I'm not doing this to run for higher office, because I know something about the port and I want to do as much as I can to serve the greater good.
All right. Thank you very much, Fred. We hope to see you back here at our June endorsement meeting. I'm going to put into chat your website, so if people have more questions or want to reach out to you, they have that contact information.
And thank you. And I'm sorry for the background noise and all that, but
no worries.
All good. Appreciate the opportunity and thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next up, the Seattle D4 race. As you all are probably aware, Seattle D4 City Council is an open seat this year, and we've got 3 candidates here tonight to speak. So first up, we have Ron Davis. Give me a second. Let me add you, remove myself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
We can hear you. All right. Can you see the blue sky timer?
I also have the black screen, but I will trust you if it's there. When you tell me to go, oh, I see it. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm Ron Davis, and I'm running for City Council in District 4. My parents were teenagers when they found out I was coming. My dad took a pay cut when he left his job at a diner for a factory because we needed benefits to make family life work. He worked 60 to 80 hours a week until I was about 10 years old, just for us to make ends meet. We got an okay house in an okay neighborhood, and I got lucky a lot. Between that and a mountain of school debt, I ended up at Harvard Law School in my late 20s, which of course changed the course of my life. I'm really grateful for that, and I believe I need to pay my good fortune forward. So when I graduated from law school, I actually spun a company out of MIT that was focused on improving mental health for call center workers, and I just tried to make the world better around me while I raised my 2 boys with my wife, who's a family doctor. But after putting down roots in Seattle, I started to see the ways that people, even self-styled progressives, were using local laws to build walls around their neighborhoods and hoard their privileges. Their actions make journeys like mine even less likely. And of course, those walls are twice or 3 times as high for people who don't look like me. And they keep people away from the upward mobility that neighborhoods with great parks and schools and transit and access to jobs offer. They make the city unaffordable. They push people onto the street. They concentrate poverty, and they keep our carbon emissions high. So I started fighting to kick those walls over. I'm on the boards of the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association, the University YMCA, Seattle Subway, and FutureWise, where I fight for kids, families, seniors, transit, and housing. And when I was a startup CEO, I even lobbied the business community to take a more progressive view on taxes and labor and policing. They showed up, they testified, I wrote and I organized and I door knocked and I marched and I donated. But I've decided I've got to do more, and so I'm running to represent you. We have to move past performative politics and really deliver progressive policy outcomes and a better life for regular people. I'm already endorsed by Gurmai Zahalai, Larry Gossett, Toshiko Hasagawa, Nancy Connolly, Carrie Moon, and other neighbors like you, including Scott Alsbach, your recent former chair. So I'm hoping you'll join me and them in knocking those walls over and building a Seattle that delivers for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And we hope to see you back here in June for our endorsement meeting. And I am putting your website into chat so everyone can learn more and reach out to you if they would like to do that. All right, next up for D4, we've got George Artem. George. Let's unmute you and add you spotlight. There we are.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, just 1 second. We ready to reset the timer?
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Okay, all right, thanks. Go ahead, George. Thank you.
Great, well, thank you so much. Hello, 43rd LD. My name is George Artem. I'm running for Seattle City Council District 4. Seattle's been my home for over 3 decades now. I finished an undergrad at the University of Washington, and like Ron, worked in tech, made contributions to higher education technology and the Internet of Things. I completed a master's degree from Foster a decade later and attended law school on the East Coast. When I came back to Seattle, I decided to devote the remainder of my career to service work. Today, I do service work with veterans on the Antioch University campus through AmeriCorps and the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. On the weekends, I spend my time over at the Shoreline Veterans Center in a supporting housing first environment. I have a long history of caucusing, canvassing, volunteering with Democrats, starting with President Barack Obama in 2008 and for Senator Bernie Sanders in 2016. Yes, I was a Bernie bro, but today I'm running as a moderate. I decided to run because Seattle is a city in recovery, and we have to affirm that Seattle is not an open air drug market. We have to make public safety our top priority. So far, I'm the only candidate in our race who said that he's willing to make public drug use and unsanctioned camping illegal. I'm also the only candidate in our race that's made a firm commitment to the Seattle Police Department. And I'm the only candidate in our race who's advocating for a housing plan, which includes rent control and rent to own that builds wealth. But I have a small ask for you. So because of my agreement with AmeriCorps, I'm actually precluded from actively campaigning until June. So if you like what you hear, kindly consider going to my website and making a contribution to help me get on the ballot. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, George. We hope to see you back here at our endorsement meeting in June. And I am posting for everyone in chat the link to your website so they can reach out to you and also learn more about your campaign. Next up for Seattle D4, we've got Ken Wilson. Ken, let's bring you up here and add you to the spotlight. All right. Are you unmuted? Can we hear you? You have to, I think you have to click to unmute yourself.
There you go.
There you go. All
I
right.
unmute as well. All right,
Yes.
great.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Take it away.
All right, hi 43rd. I've been a quiet member since about 2011 and know how these meetings can go long, so I'm grateful for these few minutes. I've been asking people I meet in our city, how are things going? Is it moving the right way? And the people I speak with feel the city is not. They don't feel safe. Andrea, a woman living alone, says she can't take it anymore. Emily and Karen have elementary school kids at John Stanford and couldn't wait any longer for public safety. And so we advocated March 17th for action. People don't feel government is creating a livable Seattle. They see amazing resources spent, but no progress. I'm running for District 4 seat that Council Member Peterson is departing, as you said, although I have amazing real world experiences on some of Seattle's most iconic infrastructure. I'm best known for a strong showing in November 21 race for that citywide council position 8. I'm a longtime small business owner, a civil engineer with 31 years of public works experience, developing clear, understood, successful solutions. I'm a UW graduate with a master's degree, working full-time to pay for that while I did it. My wife was born in Seattle, and I've lived nearly 3 decades in this District 4 Wallingford, where I raised 2 daughters and coached youth soccer. We engineers plan our projects from start to finish. Before every breaking ground, we also verify progress and are critical of resources used along the way. So I will be that council member focused on proven solutions to better run our city. Seattle deserves that kind of clear vision for our toughest issues like public safety, homelessness, affordable housing, retaining local businesses. I'm endorsed by Asian community leaders, business owners, past Seattle council members, past Seattle school board presidents, and past SDOT head of transportation and capital projects. My campaign is benefited by grassroots support, like hopefully you, and I am a best candidate because I represent a council member that will get back to basics of running a city that's safe, livable, and services are responsive and accountable. Thanks very much, 43rd.
All right, thank you very much, Ken. We hope to see you back here in June for our endorsement meeting. And I am putting into chat Ken's website so you can learn more about his campaign and reach out to him with questions as you have them. All right, Seattle D4 for just a reminder for everyone, that's the portion of the 43rd that is north of the Ship Canal. So if you live north of the Ship Canal or in the 43rd, Seattle D4 is almost certainly your race, except for a sliver of you who are in the D6 district. All right, we're going to move on now to Seattle D3. This is another big race. As you all are probably aware, Shama Sawant is not running for re-election, so this is another open seat. There is a number of candidates in the Seattle D3 race. Seattle D3 is south of the Ship Canal. So if you're in the 43rd, south of the Ship Canal and approximately east of I-5, you are in D3. This is the bulk of the 43rd. So with that, we will start with the D3 candidates, and Rye, let's get you up here on Spotlight. Oh, thank you, friend. Whoever unspotlighted me, thank you. You don't need to see me. All right, Rye, if you're ready, take it away.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rye Armstrong. I use they, she, he pronouns. I am running for city council here in District 3. District 3 is the historic queer and arts district of Seattle, whether you knew it or not. I grew up here singing in the Northwest Boy Choir and in the Seattle Symphony, singing Carmina Burana, the Schubert album, which ended up getting Grammy nominated, and we lost to Disney, that small startup company over in Florida and California. But yeah, so my background in Seattle has been an artist. I moved to New York to pursue theater in 2016 after my bachelor's, and then the pandemic devastated so many lives, as you know, and now I've been back home for a year and a half, and I'm hoping to be the first queer person to represent Capitol Hill, and also the first non-binary person on any American city council, major American city council, along with my colleague Andrew, who has co-chaired the LGBTQ Commission, is also running in our district. I am going to be hopefully nominated in the next couple months, and we'll continue to do good work in that space. My 3 top priorities are shelter, safety, and sustainability. There's a lot of great policy that New York has. It's a lot of not so good stuff too, but one of them is that they have a right to shelter city, which was created in a court case in the early aughts of a family of someone who passed away being houseless in a blizzard. And so I think if we take the legal precedent to say that universal housing at the base level should be a right in the city of Seattle, then we can actually move and make action on housing. Beyond that, I want to establish specific reform to the police and create a plastic-free, carbon-free Seattle by 2030. I think it is a good enough time for young people to start getting into local politics and be the innovators of the world they want to see today. So thank you for your time. I'm going to put my email and my cell phone in the chat. You can text or email me and reach out at any time. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Rye. And we hope to see you back here at our endorsement meeting in June as well. And I'll also put Rye's website in there so that you can learn more about their candidacy. All right, next up, we have Efren Hudnell. Let's find Efren and Spotlight. There we go. All right, Efren, whenever you're ready.
All right, good evening, Fighting 4th and 3rd. It is good to be back. For those who don't know me, my name is Efren. I've been a member of the 43rd for about going on just over 5 years now. In that time, I've been a PCO and an executive board member. And I'm honestly, it's a little surreal to be here tonight in my capacity as a candidate for city council, because what a time it is to jump in. We were expecting 4, if not 5 new faces on council. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that what this council fails to do or does or fails to do will be felt for decades, if not generations to come. And so for those reasons, I'm jumping into this race and lending my voice to the conversations being had and the conversations that will be had. So 3 things I want to leave you with tonight. Obviously, there's more to it. You can learn more at my website, electefren.com. But first, I want to put Seattle on a path towards the creation of 200,000 units of housing, no less than, in the next 10 years. This is what's expected to keep pace with the growth in this region. Another 1 million neighbors by 2040. We're currently looking at up to 120,000 units of housing, and that is just not enough. The second thing, I currently am a practicing attorney. I work in our diversion courts for mental health and veterans. And the lessons that I've learned there, I want to apply to our municipal courts and expand the practices there so that we can prioritize rehabilitation over punishment. We see it works. We surround people with services, and we don't have to see them come back with a new crime alleged because we've activated the resources they need to be productive members of society. And then lastly, I want to build a city that reflects our values, one that's walkable, one that's vibrant, one that's climate resilient. I think as we solve for the problems of today, we can be building the city that we can be proud to pass on to the next generation and the generations that follow. So I hope you'll join me. I look forward to being here. I'm gonna take the wind out of your sails, Paul. I will definitely be here on June the 13th for the candidate forum. I look forward to being there, and I look forward to earning your endorsement. Thank you so much for the time.
All right, thank you, Efren, and we look forward to having you here on the June endorsement meeting. I will put the link to your website in chat for people who want to learn more and reach out to you with questions. Okay, next up, Alex Hudson.
Hi, I'm still seeing the black, this guy. There it is. Hi, I'm Alex Hudson, and I am a candidate for City Council in District 3. I'm a First Hill renter. I've lived on First Hill for over 14 years, and I'm the legal guardian to a middle schooler in the Seattle public school system. My family lives car-free, so we're also all full-time transit riders, and I'm a cancer survivor. I grew up in a working class family in rural East King County, and because my dad had a union job, I got to be the first person in my family to graduate from college. And unfortunately, I graduated right into the middle of the recession. And as if that wasn't tough enough, was immediately diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And because I didn't have fancy things like health insurance or a savings account, I got the life-saving medicine that I needed through Medicaid, which means that I am here today because of good government policies and the people who made it possible. I repay this debt through dedicating my career to public service, which is what I've done. Right now, I'm the executive director of Transportation Choices Coalition, and there I've helped to lead radical reforms, making transit free for every young person in Washington and reforming our fare enforcement system so that no person is in the criminal justice system for want of bus fare. Before that, I was the executive director of the First Hill Improvement Association, where for 5 years, I worked deep in community on the issues that matter most, like affordable housing and siting homeless shelters and redeveloping our parks. So I know exactly the issues that face D3 and have dedicated my career already to making life better for people who work here, who live here. I know that things feel really hard right now, but hard is not impossible. And together we can roll up our sleeves and make a real difference for the betterment of Seattle. I have experience and proven solutions, and I'm excited to be the candidate for this race.
All right, thank you, Alex, and we look forward to seeing you back here at our June endorsement meeting. And I am going to put your website into chat so people can learn more about your candidacy and reach out to you with questions. All right. Next up, we have Andrew Ashiofu.
I'm waiting for the timer to be reset.
It's reset. You can just start talking and
okay.
Will...
Hi, I'm Andrew Ashiofu. I am running in the District 3 City Council. It's an honor to be in the race. I am coming from so many experiences. I think one of the most important life experience I have had was when I was unhoused and I was diagnosed with AIDS back then, but now HIV. And I understand now the barriers to housing, the barriers to affordability, the barriers to availability, and the barriers to accessibility of housing. But because these are the struggles I had to go through, and because of what I went through, I made a decision that no one would have to go through. The struggles of trying to get to treatment, the struggles of surviving, the struggles of just being human, dealing with homophobia, racism, and anti-immigrants all at once was a very intense struggle. And I think we learn from our experiences. And one of the phrases for my campaign is, you don't punish people for being poor, but you fight poverty to elevate them. And also think globally and act locally. I've done the work on the HIV Planning Council. We've made a lot of changes here in King County and Tri-Counties area regarding HIV treatment. I've worked to ensure that during the COVID, people without immigrants that don't have paperwork here in Washington State, we were able to get them nearly $3 million in COVID relief funds. I am on the e-board for the LD43 Democrats. I am the DEI committee chair for the King County Dems. I'm the state chair for the Washington Stonewall Democrats. I think it's very important to have the right representation in the room. I would like your support, and we've qualified for democracy vouchers, for your democracy vouchers as well. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Andrew. And we hope to see you back here as well on our June endorsement meeting. And lost my place here. I'm grabbing your website to post into chat for everybody. There we go. There's Andrew's website. If you want to learn more about Andrew's candidacy and reach out to him with questions. And last up in Seattle D3, we have Shobit.
Shobit Agarwal. Shobit.
Shobit?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. There we go. Thank you for spotlighting him. I'll remove myself. All right, take it away, Shobit.
Thank you, Paul. My name is Shobit Agarwal, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 3. I'm a first-generation gay immigrant from India and have been with my husband, Matthew, for 19 years. From working as a program manager at Microsoft, pursuing the dream as an actor in LA and New York, working retail, I have experienced the struggle of working for everyday work in multiple industries. And I'm also a member of the SAG-AFTRA union. I've been on the board for my condo association for 5 years and was on the board of Tricone Northwest, a South Asian LGBT organization. These roles enabled me to listen to my constituents, be empathetic to their problems, and focus on finding and implementing solutions. I get the job done. I'm in this race because I want to build a more prosperous and equitable Seattle. My platform includes working with Seattle City Light and Sound Transit to expand green infrastructure across the city while expanding tree coverage, expanding opportunities to for business with the goal to support more women and minority-owned businesses, enhancing public safety while ensuring equal opportunities for all minorities, and compartmentalizing and addressing homelessness in a compassionate manner. Make housing more affordable by supporting dezoning, leveraging I-135, and creating barriers to non-residents from other countries from parking their money in Seattle, creating unfair competition to Seattle residents. I support ERA, reproductive rights, LGBTQIA rights, and workers' rights to organize. Plus, I want to resolve local issues like bad roads and faster construction. To repeat, I want to build a more prosperous and equitable Seattle, and I get the job done. My website is voteforshobit.com. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in June.
All right, thank you, Shobit. Glad that we'll be seeing you again in June at our endorsement meeting, and I will post your website into chat for everyone so they can learn more about your candidacy and reach out to you with questions. All right. We don't have any candidates here from D7 or D6. There is a chunk of D7 that is in the 43rd. It's basically the downtown Belltown portion of the city, which overlaps D7 and the 43rd. And we also don't have any candidates here from D6. There's a sliver of D6 in Fremont that is also in the 43rd. We'll see if we can get some of those candidates out here in May to introduce themselves. So next up, we have King County District 2. We have our present D2 council member, Guilherme Zahale here. If we can get Guilherme unmuted and spotlighted. There we go. Take it away, Guilherme. Oh, we have to unmute you. Thank you.
There we go. Thanks so much, Paul.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Hey, everybody. This is King County Council Member Guilherme Zahale. I'm your current council member on the King County level, and I'm running for my second term. Thank you so much, 43rd, for making space and opportunity for us to connect today. In my first term on the council, we've done some really great work. We've had transformational impacts on the unincorporated community of Skyway. We've passed historic tenant protections. We've been able to build hundreds of units of affordable homes. And as of April 25th, you have the opportunity to pass some legislation that I've worked on for the past year, which is the Crisis Care Centers levy, so we can make a generational investment in our behavioral health system, give people a place to go when they're living in crisis. If you give me a second term, I would love to continue working to keep our communities safe, housed, and healthy. That's the goal, keep us all safe, housed, and healthy. And I would be honored to get the endorsement of the 43rd, and I'll be back here on June 13th to ask for just that. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Guilherme, and sorry for mispronouncing your name earlier.
No worries, Paul. It's like my guy, Guilherme. That's what I keep telling people to help him out.
Hey, guy, Guilherme. That's great. And we hope to see you here in June, and I will put your website in the chat for everyone to learn more about your candidacy and reach out to you with questions.
Thank you so much.
Very much. All right, and then King County District 4. King County District 4 is roughly north of the Ship Canal portion of the 43rd. First up, candidate from the King County D4 is Becca Johnson.
Poppy.
Poppy, thank you.
Yep.
Becca
No
Johnson
problem.
Popsy, and let me remove my spotlight and we will get you spotlighted there. All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Take it away.
My name is Becca Johnson Poppy, and I'm running for King County Council District 4. A dear friend of mine was living out of their car in King County not that long ago, and I think about them when I think about the 50,000 people who were unhoused in King County last year. There are moments in life where you can see how close you are to going from making it work to not making it work. For a little while, I was working 3 jobs and had a bank account with 2 digits. I had tons of support around me, so I was fine. But if I hadn't, it could have been really different. There's a lot that can be done to better support each other. I think we can all agree we have a housing crisis, a behavioral health crisis, a climate crisis. To take on these issues, we need someone with the experience and collaborative track record to make progress right out of the gate. Over the last decade, I've led budgets and policy analysis for some of the region's largest public entities. I've gone from a bank account with 2 digits to overseeing half of King County's $16 billion budget. A budget is about how we make our values and priorities real. That's a unique skill set that I bring. 3 E's connect everything the county does: protecting the environment, advancing equity, and stimulating the economy. These 3 affect everyone, and I'm committed to centering your voices and your needs because we have to solve these issues together. And together we are strong. King County is bigger than 15 states. We have the responsibility and the opportunity to lead in taking on the existential threat of climate change, in creating more housing that's affordable to more people, in delivering universal childcare, and improving our transportation experience. We'll do this by centering the voices of people most affected, creating accessible career pathways with family-sustaining wages, and making sure everyone feels respected, safe, and supported. I'm Becca Johnson Poppy. I've spent my career turning progressive ideas into progressive action. With your voice and your vote, we'll hit the ground running together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becca, and we hope to see you back here for our June endorsement meeting as well. And I'm putting your website into chat so people can reach out and learn more about your candidacy and reach out to you for questions. Okay, next for King County D4, Sarah Reineveld.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Hello, Fighting 43rd. My name is Sarah Reineveld, and I am running for King County Council District 4. Some of you may know me as the former chair of the Thundering 36th District. I am also a public sector attorney, proud mom of 2, public school parent, transit writer, union organizer, and community advocate. I have dedicated my 15-year public service career to advancing progressive policy, legal, and budgetary solutions to some of our region's greatest challenges. As a managing attorney in the Attorney General's office for over 10 years, I have fought for wages and protections for working families, held environmental violators accountable, and worked internally to unionize our staff and win our union. As a member of the King County Women's Advisory Board since 2016, I have worked with community and the King County Council to help secure investments in affordable housing, behavioral health, childcare, and services for survivors of gender-based violence. I want to continue my track record of working with and centering communities to advance progressive solutions on the King County Council. I am running because we need bold and transformative action at all levels of government to meet the urgency of this moment. The status quo isn't good enough, and too many people are falling behind. King County must and can do more to meet the behavioral health needs of our neighbors in crisis, to create truly affordable housing, to truly tackle the climate crisis, to reimagine our legal system, to provide accessible and frequent public transit for all, and to create accessible opportunities so that all in our communities can thrive. I am proud to be the only candidate in this race who's endorsed by labor unions, Attorney General Bob Ferguson, Public Lands Commissioner Hillary Franz, Councilmember Cole Wells and Zahalai, and many more. I would be honored to earn the endorsement of the 43rd District, and I look forward to participating in your process. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And just give me a second. I'll post your website in the chat as well. And we hope to see you back here in June for our endorsement meeting. All right, last up, we have, yeah, Dawn, I'll put the timer up on my background. Last, we have King County District 8. There's a sliver of King County District 8 that is in the 43rd as well. I am hoping we have Council Member Teresa Mosqueda here to introduce herself. And if you just give me 1 second, we'll get the 2-minute timer going. Whenever you're ready I'll start the timer.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much to the 43rd. I appreciate the opportunity to join you again. I'm Teresa Mosqueda, Seattle City Council member at large, coming to you as a 2-time 43rd endorsed candidate and your current Seattle City Council member. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve all of Seattle. I want to thank you for helping us make history in the wake of the pandemic and the ongoing hardship that people are experiencing and the ongoing hardship that workers and small businesses are experiencing. We continue to push progressive policies like Jumpstart Progressive Payroll Tax, quadrupling the investments in affordable housing, increasing access to worker protections like hotel workers, domestic workers, and gig workers. But folks, I'm coming to you now wearing the hat as a King County Council candidate running for District 8 to represent a diverse district from First Hill and Capitol Hill down to Vashon and Burien and Tukwila, South Park and White Center, and so many other neighborhoods to help make sure that we can actually broaden out the work that we've done in Seattle to increase access to three things: health, housing, and worker protections. I'm so incredibly proud of the work we've done to increase access to affordable housing and housing supports. But unless we have more access to public health supports, behavioral health, mental health services, we cannot continue to help stabilize the housing and supportive services that our community needs. And King County is the place that has the policy purview and the purse strings over public health and behavioral health. I hope to help stabilize our community by increasing access to public health behavioral health services and encourage you to vote yes by April 25th on the upcoming ballot. I also want to increase access to housing supports for our jurisdictions and unincorporated areas, for more workforce housing across King County so that teachers and construction workers and nurses have access to housing. And finally, increase access to childcare, transit, and make sure that there's apprenticeship and union training opportunities across our county. Thanks so much for your consideration as I run for District 8 in King County.
Thank you, Teresa. And we hope to see you back here in June for our endorsement meeting. And I will put your website in the chat for everyone to learn more about your candidacy and reach out to you with questions. All right. Thank you to all our candidates who came tonight to introduce themselves. Thank you for your time. Next up in our agenda, we have Mark Taylor Canfield, who is Executive Director of Democracy Watch News, who is here to talk to us for a few minutes about corporate media ownership consolidation and its effects on local media, including here in Seattle. Let me find Mark. All right, let's place you spotlight. All right, Mark, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I have a lot of information to get out quickly, so forgive me if I talk fast, but I do serve as Executive Director for Democracy Watch News, a nonprofit organization that covers challenges to democracy worldwide. Our podcast is called The Democracy Cast. I'm also a singer in a rock band, so if you want to know more about that, you can go to YouTube and check out my music video called Mother Freedom, which is dedicated to people fighting for justice and freedom around the world. I'm a weekly guest on the Jeff Sato Show on the Revolution Radio Network, and I also do news reports for the Thom Hartmann program. I've been a writer for the Huffington Post and the Capitol Hill Times, and my writing has also been published by the Seattle Times and by Crosscut. And I believe that it's the obligation of every journalist, editor, and publisher to report on and speak out against threats to press freedom, which are in their very nature threats to democracy. A functioning democracy requires a well-informed electorate. I also have a few suggestions for potential legislative and public policy remedies to address local challenges to press freedom that I hope we can get to in time. Recently, I presented information on challenges to press freedom in the US, including media monopolies, during an international conference at The Hague in the Netherlands. And that gathering was scheduled as part of the official Summit for Democracy events, which took place on March 29th and 30th. The conference where I presented was co-sponsored by the United Nations and UNESCO and by the Global Forum on Media Development. And then last week, I briefed Congresswoman Pramila Jayapala and her staff on the loss of press freedom in the United States and our steady decline in ranking on the World Press Freedom Index. Because every year on May 3rd, which has been designated as World Press Freedom Day by the United Nations, Reporters Without Borders releases their new rankings in terms of press freedom around the world. Now, you won't hear this reported in any US media except for the platforms where I report, but the United States is currently ranked 42nd in the world in terms of press freedom. That means, according to Reporters Without Borders, there are 41 other nations where there's more press freedom, more freedom of the press, and where it's easier and sometimes safer for journalists to do their jobs. So as a US journalist, I'm not proud of that ranking. Our country has experienced a steady drop in rankings since 2002, when we were ranked 17th. Now we're 42nd. Unfortunately, nobody in the US media seems to want to report on this issue or hold themselves accountable for some of the decline in press freedom. And I've been lobbying every top news organization, magazine, and website to try to get them to address this issue, but they just refuse. The important thing here for all of us to know is that next month on May 3rd, World Press Freedom Day, the new rankings on the World Press Freedom Index will be announced. And I'm registered for a conference sponsored by the Washington Post on that day, where Reporters Without Borders will announce their new rankings. And I suspect that our ranking will slip further due to the political party propaganda coming out of the Fox network, because obviously a press is not free when the most watched so-called news network is constantly lying. So US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be the keynote speaker at that conference where the new World Press Freedom Rankings will be presented. But I predict that he will not address the decline in the US ranking during his speech, even though 3 of the co-host nations for the Summit for Democracy are ranked ahead of the US in terms of press freedom: the Netherlands, Costa Rica, and Zambia. And members of the US Congress don't even know that the World Press Freedom Index even exists. So it's up to people like me to brief them. Also, I testified before the Federal Communications Commission about the loss of local news coverage and the reduction in POC and female ownership of media. And the commissioners claimed to have no knowledge of this research, which they themselves had funded at 3 major universities. The professors I interviewed told me they would never accept another commission from the FCC because their research had been suppressed. And you can read my article about that at Truthout. Barbara Boxer also spoke out about this. So let's look at the situation here locally. One of the reasons that Reporters Without Borders gave for the US ranking drop in press freedom is the lack of respect for freedom of the press by police, especially during political protests. And I won a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Washington State Patrol for their activities during a sit-in at the governor's office at the state capitol building in Olympia. So I'm very familiar with how law enforcement deals with reporters. I've been shot with rubber bullets while covering Black Lives Matter protests, had concussion grenades thrown at me on May Day. I was pepper sprayed in the face while trying to film the violent arrest of a young female protester during demonstrations against Donald Trump. In many cases, what the police are doing is they're trying to attempt to silence the media by blocking their cameras or targeting the journalists. What they don't want is eyewitness testimony or video footage of police misconduct and mistreatment of protesters. So I've also been threatened with arrest multiple times while covering protests. So in Seattle, the police officers are not trained to respect the rights of journalists who are working in the public interest. So that's one major issue. But let's talk about the ownership of media itself in the region. Reporters Without Borders is highly critical of the US because a small handful of media companies and wealthy individuals dominate all of the major media markets, making it almost impossible for independent or publicly funded media to compete. For example, iHeartMedia, formerly known as Clear Channel, owns 855 radio stations across the country in 160 markets, including 8 stations in Seattle. Across the country, iHeart owns or streams programming from many right-wing and conservative religious stations. The runner-up in radio monopolies is Cumulus Media, which owns 404 radio stations in 85 markets. And through the stations on Westwood One, it has 9,400 affiliates. Now, Audacy, A-U-D-A-C-Y, formerly known as Intercom, owns 235 radio stations in 68 markets, and it owns 15 radio stations in Seattle, including KIRO. And I've been to the Audacy building on East Lake Avenue at Cairo, and it's a surreal experience to see so many radio stations operating out of one building. Seattle also, of course, has a Fox-affiliated TV station, and that media giant owns 29 TV stations in 17 markets, has 227 affiliate stations, and maintains what's referred to as duopolies. In other words, it owns 2 stations in 11 of the 15 major US media markets. And of course, Fox Broadcasting is a subsidiary of Fox Entertainment Group, which is itself a subsidiary of News Corporation Limited, and that's part of the Murdoch family empire. KOMO in Seattle is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting Group, which owns 200 TV stations covering over 40% of all the households in the US. Sinclair has been a major promoter of conservative politics in the media, and according to OpenSecrets.org, there's a revolving door between government and lobbyists at Sinclair. So 2 out of 3 lobbyists there have formerly held government jobs. And then some Sinclair-owned TV stations are also Fox affiliates. Until last year, King 5 was owned by Tegna. When Tegna bought the station from the Bullitt family heirs, there was a major outcry from local members of the press because that company was known for downsizing news operations in order to improve profits. It was also known for crowdsourcing information and media instead of paying employees to generate that content. Tegna owned 62 TV stations in 51 markets. That comprised 36% of all US TV homes. So in February of 2022, hedge fund investor Kim Sue acquired Tegna for $5.4 billion in cash and the assumption of a $3.2 billion debt. So media is big business in the United States, and major hedge funds and corporations often prioritize private profit over public service. Reporters Without Borders reports that over 100 newsrooms have closed in the US since 2020, most of them local news organizations. And of course, we all know Seattle, like other major US cities, used to have multiple newspapers. From 1983 to 2009, the Seattle Times and the PI were under a joint operating agreement by the Seattle Times Company. But when the PI went online, 145 jobs were lost at that publication, while the Seattle Times cut 150 editorial positions. The Blethen family owns 50% of the Seattle Times, and 50% is owned by the McClatchy Group of newspapers. McClatchy operates 29 newspapers in 14 states. The Seattle Times is now the only major newspaper in the city enjoying a complete monopoly. Many large cities are now one newspaper towns after years of downsizing, mergers, and newspaper closings. And many small independent community newspapers have also disappeared in Seattle. I had a column at the Capitol Hill Times until a few years ago when suddenly and without warning, Pacific Publishing Company, which owns several local community newspapers, just decided to downsize that newspaper by simply refusing to communicate with its employees. So here's the point though. What are some possible legislative and public policy remedies? This is what I was talking with Pramila Jayapal about. If the FCC, of course, continues to cave in to large media companies and allow media monopolies to grow in size and power, there's very little hope for the viability of any independent or community media in the United States because they simply can't compete in those markets. What we need is more public funding of independent non-corporate media. And folks, PBS and National Public Radio are just not adequate to provide the diversity of opinion and representation that's required in a healthy democratic society. We do have KBCS here locally, which is a Pacifica Radio Network affiliate where I used to work as a reporter. And KBCS's signal does cover most of the city, but it's just not enough to create a widely diverse media landscape. And KBCS has a very small budget compared to any commercial station. But despite these limitations, I do have one idea that might at least help improve the lives of local journalists besides coming up with funding. I propose the establishment of sanctuary cities, municipalities, and states where local governments pass resolutions in support of the rights of journalists to be free from being targeted and harassed by law enforcement agencies, especially during protests. And these resolutions would direct police departments to honor the rights of reporters. Journalists would be assured that they will not be assaulted with crowd control munitions, be arrested, or have their media equipment damaged, confiscated, or searched by police during protests. They should also be protected from prosecution for refusing to reveal their confidential sources. The United States currently has no federal shield law protecting journalists from that kind of prosecution. Although Representative Jamie Raskin was able to pass such a bill through the House of Representatives, it failed to pass the US Senate. So I believe our own city of Seattle and the Washington State Legislature could pass laws to protect journalists and to create more funding for independent and community media. It's just a matter of political will. As long as the funding has no strings attached, because of course news organizations must be allowed to remain independent of their funders, regardless of political affiliation. Also, tax credits and low or no interest loans could really help small independent and startup media projects. There are other legislative and public policy initiatives which could help improve the US ranking on the World Press Freedom Index, including federal protections for whistleblowers like Julian Assange. But on a local level, communities must establish their own initiatives. And bottom line, if the US wants to continue to be seen as a world leader in the protection and promotion of press freedom, it must first confront its own problems with press freedom and media monopolies. We may not have a state-controlled media, but we obviously have corporations dominating the media landscape and limiting diversity and political views and ownership. So anything that can be done on a local level and on a state legislative level to create independent or funding for independent media to help protect journalists is got to help the situation. And I believe if these things did happen, you would see our ranking on the World Press Freedom Index improve immediately. So I want to thank the 43rd District Democrats for letting me address you on this. I know it's a lot of information in a short period of time, but it's a very complicated issue. But I think there are some ways that we can address it, and there is some hope for the future. But I don't want to see the United States ranking continue to drop and not be addressed by any political representatives here or by the media itself. It's just an untenable situation which can't continue. And I'll continue to do what I can to educate people about it and get the media itself to report on this. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mark. I'll put the link to the Democracy Watch News website in chat for everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming here tonight. All right. Next up in our agenda is John Coelho here.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, let's find you and get you spotlighted.
Yeah, John Coelho up on the top there.
Hold on a second.
Oh, you got my wife's picture.
Yep. Sorry. I have to see the both of you in the same video. So, oh, are you not in? Hold on. It's not letting me spotlight you, John.
I don't understand why.
Oh,
John, could you try putting on your video?
Yeah, you don't
by
have your video
chance?
on.
Start video. Okay, I'm seeing my.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, I'm starting to see myself. Okay. All right.
If you can maybe move your light up a little bit so we can see you a little bit better. You're getting kind of washed out there. All right. Okay. John is here with a resolution about supporting Iranian democracy. I'm putting the resolution link into the chat. All right, there's a link to the resolution. John, do you want to speak to what this resolution is about? This is to be clear, so the facts of the resolution. It's not an argument for or against the resolution at this point.
Is this a summation, or you want me to read the whole thing?
A summation of what it is and why it is. If you want to cede your time to somebody else to speak to that's fine.
Yes,
as well.
as a matter of fact, there are some Iranian women with us tonight. They would be more eloquent than anybody else. Could you please step forward, wherever you are?
All right. Yeah, Azada. Okay. Azada, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
It's Azadeh.
Azadeh. Thank you. Can you speak to what this resolution says and what the need for it is?
The resolution is supporting the Mahsa Act, which and the summary of it would be making Islamic Republic of Iran accountable and put the Supreme Leader and the President of Islamic Republic on sanction. And this is because of a lot of injustice that happened in Iran. And this sanction can mean a lot for Iranian people who are fighting right now for democracy and for freedom. I was born and raised in Iran. I have family in Iran currently who are suffering from the injustice and cruelty of Islamic Republic. In my motherland, I was a second-class citizen as a woman. I got arrested multiple times for improper hijab, and a lot more. I got expelled from university because of being a religious minority. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere." And this Mahsa Act is a big step to stand up against the human rights violator and stand up against injustice and to make Islamic Republic accountable. Thank you, 43rd, for your time.
Thanks, Azada. And Megan, do you want to also speak to the content of the resolution?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I do wanted to thank you, 43rd Democrats. I'm also like Azadeh, I'm an Iranian American who grew up in Iran. And like Azadeh experienced suppression of women firsthand. Supporting Mahsa Act is very important in helping Iranians in their road to freedom. Iran's regime has been killing Iranians in the last 44 years. In fact, in the last 8 months during the revolution, regime's forces killed over 500 people, 70 of them children. So any money in the hands of this resolution, in this regime, helps them kill even more people. The regime is also supporting and funding many terrorists and militia groups in the region. So increasing and enforcing the sanctions is very important in the safety of us Americans at home, and reduces the risk of another 9/11 in the US. So thank you, 43rd Democrats, and thank you, John, for introducing this resolution to 43rd Democrats.
You're most welcome.
Okay, John, can you summarize quickly what the resolution is asking for?
Yes, it's asking for the support for Pramila Jayapal to vote for and ideally co-sponsor HR 589, the Mahsa Act, and that the rest of the resolutions is a recounting of all the different massive violations of human rights that the regime has been involved in over the last 40 years. But what this would hopefully do is get her to do that, and so far she has not done it, to my knowledge.
Paul, Behrooz Tamasebi wishes to speak.
Behrooz, did you also want to add clarity on the resolution?
Yes, good evening. My name is Behrooz Tamasebi. I just want to take a moment and thank everybody for considering this resolution. It's very, very important for the people, for the children, for the young girls, for the innocent people of the Iran to this Mahsa Act pass so President Biden can sign it. For past several months, they poisoned their children, girls in school, and for couple months they starting using chemical gas on the schools, and it's just horrific. We've seen the picture, videos that it's young girls screaming, "I cannot breathe, I cannot breathe." I've seen pictures that in a hospital, and they're just screaming, "My heart is burning, my heart is burning," and it's just unbelievable. It's heartbreaking when you see these scenes. And it's just all over the Iran. It's like 25%, 5,000 students here. And actually last several days, it's been more cities all around, even in Tehran, the capital city, that it was never been used, gas used on the schools. And it's just horrific. And the short effect on these children is that for first couple of days, most of them for first couple of days, up to 7 days, they totally get paralyzed. And this is basically a short term effect. The long-term effect, I'm sure all of you know that is not going to be good. It just basically they lost their whole life because of these people. There is no human rights. They're just totally denied for fundamental rights. The regime, there is no human rights for them. The human rights is a privilege for themselves and their circles. Human rights, it should not be a privilege. Human rights is human rights. Everybody should have a right. It's human rights is without borders. Last year, one of the students that they poisoned last year, a young boy, 16 years old, he died a couple of weeks ago. And it's just heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. They killed over 70 people, 500 people, 70 of them, they've been children. 2 years old and 9 years old. I have a grandson, 9 years old, and I have a granddaughter, 3 years old. Every day I go babysit them, I hold them. I hold them. When I hold them, I cry. They ask me why you're crying. I cannot say anything to them. I cannot say anything that your brother and sister, they've been killed in the country. All I can say to them is that because I'm happy to see you. That's all. These people, they're just innocent. It's innocent. They have done nothing. This regime is brutal. It's brutal. I can't, I'm just, their hope is, the only hope that they have is us here. And only hope that I have is you and President Biden to pass this Massa's Act. There is no way around it. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate listening to me and caring, and thank you for your act of kindness.
Thank you, Behrooz. Okay.
Gulban Marandis would like to speak, Paul.
Sorry, who?
Gulban Marandis had raised their hand to speak earlier. Gulban, would you like to speak? I hear nothing now. Okay.
All right.
Oh, here she is.
Oh, there's Gulban.
Yeah. Oh, there she's.
Good to see you, John. Good to see people that I know here and the people I don't know. Hi, I'm Gulban. I am one of the study Iranian women. I just wanted to thank you, LB43, and thank you so much, John, for always being such a big ally for us. And thank you for this strong resolution. Also, I wanted to mention that Jayapal hasn't even said to our community who has been following nonstop. So I know that we are especially grateful that you added that segment to it. So thank you so much, and it's good to see you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to put the link to the resolution in chat again, in case you weren't able to read it the last time. So the resolution speaks to the reasons why the 43rd Democrats would urge our representative, congressional representative Pramila Jayapal to co-sponsor and vote for the Massa Act to enforce sanctions on the Iranian government. We have heard a number of people speak to the need for the resolution. So I'm going to ask if there's anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the resolution at this time. And Dawn, if you can, this is a point in the meeting which we will mute the chat so that we can deal with the voting issue without the chat. There we go. Anyone who would like to speak against this resolution? If so, raise your hand. Okay, seeing no one wants to speak against it, and having had multiple people who have given the context for the resolution, which we'll take as speeches for the resolution, I am going to ask if there's any objection to adopting this resolution via acclamation or unanimous consent. Oh, sorry. Thank you for pointing that out, Andrew. John, would you like to make a motion to adopt the resolution? Sorry, we have to unmute you here. Hold on.
Yes, please do adopt it.
Do we have a second? Andrew's seconded. Thank you. We got multiple seconds. Thank you all. Is there any objection to passing this resolution via unanimous consent? If so, please raise your hand. If there is any objection, we will go to a formal vote. Is there any objection? Is there any objection? Okay, seeing no objections to adopting this by acclamation, the 43rd Democrats have adopted this resolution in support of Iranian democracy, and which asks Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal to co-sponsor and vote for HR 589, the Massa Act, to enforce sanctions on the Iranian government. Thank you all, to all of you who came and shared your stories here with us tonight. And thank you, John, for bringing forth forward this resolution.
You're most welcome.
Okay. We are now moving into our chair report section. Emily, are you here? Would you mind chairing this portion of the meeting? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul. All right. First on the chair report is for finance. Brad.
Hi, I don't think I have anything to add at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Elections with Jacob.
Yeah, short update. Mainly been working with Dawn and others, a lot of people, to organize the candidate forums and getting ready for the endorsement meeting in June. Yeah, a lot of just behind the scenes, lots of emails. So just keeping that up and making sure everybody shows up, which everyone seems to be, all the candidates. So yeah, I think we're gonna have some good events.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate it. And PCO with Cody.
Hey, there we go. Unmuted. Hello. So for the most part, I'll really just reiterate what Paul said earlier in the meeting. I'd accuse him of stealing my thunder if it wasn't such an eloquent sort of stealing of the thunder, and I think great summary, which is that if you're looking at the meeting agenda and you're not a PCO, but you want to be a PCO, there's a couple really helpful links there. Not the least of which being the link to apply to be a PCO, but you can also click the one just above that to even see before you do that if your precinct is vacant or not. If you don't do that and you apply anyway, then I'll just double check. So no harm, no foul either way. But I think that's a great resource just if you want to be able to kind of set your own expectations and go, is this vacant? Is this occupied? But if you're interested in becoming a PCO, I'd love to have you fill out that form. And obviously you can reach out to me if you have any questions. And other than that, I think that's the bulk of my update. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Cody. Really appreciate it. And I'm very hopeful that we can add some more PCOs in our district. Okay, next we have membership with James. Paul, do you know if James is here?
He was here earlier. Yeah.
I think you're looking for the other James right now.
I'm sorry, I meant
sorry,
James Williams.
Oh, sorry. No, he's not here tonight.
Okay. Well, next up is the other James, who is here with communications.
No major updates on process right now, but I could use a call for volunteers to assist with amplification as we gear up for election season and for a series of events in the late spring and summer. So if you're interested in participating and getting the word out about candidates, causes, and events, please email the communications alias, communications at 43rd Democrats, and get in touch. Thank you.
Thanks so much, James. Really appreciate it. And next, we have fundraising with Nosheen.
Hi, everyone. Just to note the same thing I mentioned at the beginning, which is would love to support and sort of planning the Pride Brunch that Dawn and I are hoping to put on in June. So please, like I said, if you can fill out the volunteer form, that would be incredibly helpful. And we look forward to working on an incredible event together. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nosheen. Okay, and then policy and advocacy. Paul, do you want to cover that one?
Yes, sure. Policy and advocacy, Camille Gix is stepping down as chair of the Policy and Advocacy Committee. As y'all are probably aware, she was very instrumental in the campaign for Initiative 135 social housing. That passed, as you're all aware, and House Our Neighbors is working hard now to make sure that the Public Development Corporation is set up and successful, and Camille is working on that, and so is spending her limited time on that. And we thank her very much for her work in the 43rd over the last few years. It's been great working with her. That all said, let's see, we are towards the end of this legislative session. Please do keep an eye on local media to see what are the final bills that need to get passed. Good places to look up are Stranger, Urbanist, Publicola, Celestial Emerald, and a number of other local media. You can please do contact our representatives, Jamie Peterson, Senator, and Representatives Frank Chop and Nicole Macri, to encourage them to pass the final bills of the session. And that's my report.
Thanks, Paul. That was great. Okay, and for meeting and events, Dawn.
To reiterate, we are having the D4 on May 23rd, and 5:30 to 7 p.m. with Young Democrats, and we would really love your help and your volunteerism to help make this successful, so we can boost and educate the greater community to vote for their interests, as well as June 13th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at KEXP, and that one will be a very lengthy debate with 10 full candidates, and that is another one that we could really use your help and volunteerism for. If you can fill out that form so that the city can make the best informed decision that it can. I would also like to say, please go out there and look at all of the different news policies and stay in touch with Real Change and House Our Neighbors for social housing to boost all of the hard work that Camille Gix has been doing and continues to do for social housing, and see their choices that they wish to have on for urban planning and development. That is all I have to say. One more thing I would have to say is thank you so much to the Iranian community for sharing your stories with us. It's been so incredibly meaningful and heartbreaking, and also inspiring and motivating. Thank you.
So true. Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate you and the work that you're doing. All right, and we have Rob for technology, and I wasn't seeing Rob on our participant list. I'm going to do another check just to make sure.
Yeah, I think he had a conflict and so wasn't here tonight.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks. Okay, and now we're going to our King County reps, Andrew and Sophia.
Yeah, this is Sophia. I could speak on it a little bit. Right now, the most major thing that is going on in King County is preparing for the endorsements. So we have been meeting regularly to get ready to put together the endorsement questionnaires, put together the processes, and schedule interviews and such. And I think the first interviews are going to start this weekend. But yeah.
Thanks, Sophia.
Hi, yeah. Thanks, Sophia. Sorry, I was trying to be unmuted. So I just have some other information about that. The endorsement is there. There are 311 estimated seats up for election, and the King County Dems are trying to contest every race. Anyone interested should reach out to me, and I can connect you to the people in charge of getting people to run for office. We also got 4 Code of Conduct committee members at large: Crystal Fincher for the South, Jane Carter for the East region, EJ Juarez for Seattle, and Catherine Christen for the North region. Then they're also planning on phone banking and GOTV, get out the votes for the April 25th elections. And yeah, if you're interested in contesting in one of the 311 races, please reach out to Christina Belvin, who is the outreach chair for King County Dems and also a member of the 43rd LD. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Would you mind putting Christina's contact in the chat just so that we can make that accessible to folks? Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And sorry, and we'll also get all this information into the meeting minutes so that you can access them there as well. Thanks, Ann.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. Okay, and then we have our state reps, Amy and Sam.
Hi, everyone. This is Amy Madden, one of your state committee reps. Sam is busy right now, but he and I have talked, and we are looking at potentially having office hours sometime this week because we have a really important action for the 43rd membership, and we want to be there for you to be able to follow through on this action. And that is right now the State Central Committee, which is in charge of policies for the Washington State Democrats. The state committee is deciding on our delegate selection and affirmative action plan. And that plan decides how we go about electing our next or selecting which person we will support for president for Washington State in the Democratic Party. So it's really important that this be a fair and equitable and solid plan. And there are resolutions that the 43rd have passed unanimously that have let me know to let you know that there are some flags within the DSAP this time that the 43rd will probably be wanting to comment on. And public comment is due by the 29th of April. So we've got a little bit of time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to the delegate selection and affirmative action plan in the chat. I'm going to put the link to submit public comment as well. And then I'm going to put my contact information. And I'm really hoping that as many people as possible can fill out the public comment document. And there are 3 reasons why we really need to get these comments in. The first is that there has been a proposal made to change the way delegates are allocated. This very narrowly passed in the Rules Committee, and it's quite controversial. It would change delegate allocation to be equal among legislative districts throughout Washington state, instead of having numbers weighted toward the more heavily Democratic districts. So what that would mean is that the state Democratic convention, where the delegates go and vote on our platform and vote on who we're going to support for president, we would have a greater concentration of delegates from parts of the state that are not heavily Democratic if this change was made. One of the things that state committee members are discussing right now is that bluer districts carry statewide races for the Democrats and provide the majorities in the legislature. And, many state committee members feel that this effort should be reflected in delegate allotment, particularly with our purple districts. More delegates from bluer districts like the 43rd mean that we have a more progressive platform. And the platform cannot accurately represent statewide Democrats if the voting is disproportional to party members. So that's one of the flags, and that's a really important one. And I can provide you with the information about what section you need to flag. It's section 3-A-3. I can put all of this in an email to all of you. I'm actually working on that with a few state committee members right now. We have to make sure to get all the reference numbers right for you. We have to get the talking points just perfect for you. And we're hoping to get that out in the next few days. So keep your eyes out for that. But I'd also like to have office hours along with Sam so that we can help you fill this out. The two other flags for the DSAP this time is that the 43rd Democrats support ranked choice voting. You all have made that very, very clear. There is currently no plan in this, there's no section in this plan calling for ranked choice voting or making space for it. And what we would like to do is ask that the Rules Committee, the State Committee, approve a plan that carves out space for ranked choice voting, that calls for the DNC to allow this to happen in our state. It should be part of our plan. And the third thing is that the 43rd Democrats, you have made it very clear that you support restorative gender policies. And that means that we allow as many women and non-binary people as wish to serve in party leadership positions. And that includes being able to serve as delegates. We should never be turning women away and saying we have too many women. A restorative gender policy would mean that up to 50% of the delegates could be men, but that if we wanted to elect an entire delegation of women and non-binary people, we could do so. There are other states that have passed similar policies, and I think it's time that we catch up, and the 43rd has made it very clear that they wish to catch up. So I'm going to pass those links on to you, and I would encourage you to reach out to me and Sam and let us know if you need help in filling out the public comment. Here's the link. And if you reach out to me and let me know you'd like to have office hours with me or meet up with me, or do a phone meeting, I'm happy to help you fill out your comment card if you need any assistance with that at all. I have time Thursday evening. I think Sam might have time then too, and we can do an office hours that night too. So we need folks to fill in this public comment. Thank you so much. Is there time for any questions, Emily?
We do have a few minutes. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions? I know this was a lot of information. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions, but please do get that public comment in. Please message me with any questions whatsoever, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the update and your attention to detail in that, and the links to the resources in the chat. Very helpful. Thanks so much. Paul, is there any other announcements that you would like to make before we turn it over for a few minutes of good of the order?
No, just a quick recap. Our endorsements meeting is in June. Please get your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers in the 43rd to sign up for membership so that they can participate in endorsements. We need PCOs. We need volunteers. We've got candidate forums coming up. Information's in the chat on those, in the agenda. We will make sure it gets up on the website. Please tell everybody you know about those forums so that everyone can get educated about what each of the candidates is standing for and what they hope to accomplish. With that, back to you, Emily.
Great. We have 4 minutes for good of the order. And actually, Paul, if you don't mind, I think I'll keep you highlighted so that we can have a 1-minute timer. Should anyone like to speak, this is a great time to do so. We encourage you. Rye, it looks like you have your hand up. Let me ask you to unmute and spotlight you.
Yeah, I just want to take 15 seconds, let everyone know that the HB 1575 I talked about in the last month's meeting passed, and we will have councilmanic authority to support the arts. So I'm really proud about it, really happy about it. Big shout out to Inspire Washington. And if you want to get involved with what they're doing, just let me know. Sending love. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's great. Thanks for the update. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in good of the order? Anyone else? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we might end 3 minutes early. Is there a motion to adjourn? Jacob?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
All right. Is there a second? All right, thanks, Paul. Okay, thank you everyone for a great meeting. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to seeing you all next month as well.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.